Hi there guys, Ymgarl here again. I'm going to be taking you through another walkthrough of the Arah instance, this time in the exploration mode, and I'm going to be choosing the Forgotten Story path. So, first things first, pre-prep before entering the dungeon, you're going to want some decent gear. First of all, I wouldn't recommend coming here with gear below yellow. You're going to probably want rare gear. In addition to which, you're going to need superior potions of undead slaying, and you're also going to want food that will boost your survivability, preferably food that boosts your stamina regeneration so that you can dodge more often. Because this is a difficult dungeon. If you've not done dungeons before in Guild Wars, you are going to struggle with this if you have an inexperienced team. The first time we tried this, we couldn't even do the first pull. Second time, we couldn't beat it. Third time, we managed it. But we are well geared. Okay, so a quick talk through of my spec. I'm using banners and bleeds as my primary role in the battle. Firing my rifle for bleeds as much as possible and using the banners. So my spec is primarily DPS and support. If you're looking for a place to farm solo, this spot we're fighting right now, you can come in here solo and farm it. There's large moldy bags which are pretty decent, and it's very easy. Once you've gathered your entire group, you're going to want to go to the NPCs back here. You're going to want to talk to Ogden, and then talk to all the scholars. You can listen to them if you want, but essentially you're going to have to choose between 4 options, and we're going to be covering the Forgotten, so you're going to want to choose the Forgotten if you want to follow this guide. You get about 30 seconds to choose, and then the most voted for option is the one that the dungeon takes. The other paths are then eliminated for the rest of the instance, so you can't go back, but you wouldn't really want to. Once you're done with the vote, you want to head out to the right and make the first pull. You need to do not what we've done here. You want to be much more careful about the pulls. It's just we've got quite a bit of experience in here now, so we just pulled everything and ran back to the camp and then AoE'd it all down. But it can be quite difficult. Ideally, you should be targeting the mage first, not like what we just did. That was really quite poor play by us. Not good demonstration at all. But since we are quite experienced now, we've got no issue with taking them out. So yeah, just pulling off all the trash here. There's not really much to say about these guys. Yeah, just over here is the first boss of the dungeon. This guy is this is a pair of enemies. There's the hunter and the crusher or something. The guy with the bow roots, and the guy with the club can one hit you if you're not careful, as you'll probably see. Yeah, there we go. Even at that range, he manages to one hit me. But yeah, he's very easy to deal with. You'll see in a second what I mean. So once he starts charging his ability, the crusher, once he starts charging his ability, he will only hit in front of him. So as you're seeing here, I'm just literally just sidestepping. As soon as I see him start charging his ability, just step out of the way, step behind him. He doesn't collide with you, of course, so you can just walk straight through him. Here I'm actually firing through both of them, so I'm getting max DPS on both while tanking. Essentially, it's not an issue. This is very easy boss. So once you're done, in fact, some of the regular pulls are actually tougher. Anyway, when you're done with these guys, the archer has a bouncing shot, so it's best to spread out. I think it has a lot of the ones the archers didn't have a bouncing shot anyway. But yeah, this guy is these guys are really easy, really. If you can't beat these, you want to go home. Right, these guys, they come in trios. They tend to come in trios in this dungeon, and you tend to get there's three mobs. There's a hunter, or something. I think he's called a hunter, an illusionist, and a mage. There may also be another one, but I'll see if we see them later. The mage does AoE healing springs that also damage you. They're pretty brutal in close range, so you want to target him first so he doesn't get too much healing off. The illusionist casts a Chaos Storm effect, which is very dangerous. As you see, when I end up standing in it, I almost end up dead immediately. So yeah, be careful of that. You will also want to The third mob is the Elementalist, who has a couple of attacks. His main attack is he'll fire like a cone of projectiles, which in one moment you'll see turned effectively against him with the Guardian's reflective wall, which is why the Guardian is so awesome in here. If you watch on the left here, you'll see, I'm about to slow it down, you'll see here on the left, the Guardian summons the reflective wall, and that reflects the Elementalist's projectiles back at him and almost kills him completely. And that leaves the last mob to consider here is, the Hunter. Yeah, the Hunter has a bouncing shot, like you don't want to stand close together when fighting the Hunter, and he also summons, he does an AoE buff, and he also summons birds. I'd recommend killing the birds down first, because they do a lot of damage, and if they build up, you can be in trouble. Here we're seeing some Guardian wall. The Guardian's wall is incredibly powerful for this dungeon. You want to basically, I wouldn't recommend coming here without a Guardian. Like, it's that powerful. The Guardian's reflective wall, the Elementalist mob, if you put the Guardian's reflective wall in front of it, he'll basically take 15% of his own health every shot he fires. So he'll almost kill himself by the time the walls run out, which is fantastic. Here we go. I'm gonna this pull here we pull to try and demonstrate the value of dodging the shots. Although I think I actually die, which is pretty bad. But yeah, so we're all split up now, and now he's hitting me, but it's not bouncing to anyone else. So it's just me he's hitting. That's the key thing. The Hunters, yeah, you need to try and keep away from them so that they keep away from each other, so that the bouncing shot only hits one player at a time. So there we go, we're just killing through this trash. You can pull these guys one at a time, so there's no issue here at all. Again, dodge the Chaos Storms, dodge the beams. I think you can interrupt the beam as well, yeah. I think the order that you want to be killing things is you want to start with the mages. You want to go then progress on to the to the hunters and the illusionists. I think that's the best order. This area here, it's possible to split the pull as I tried to do there, but it's not. It's quite difficult and not super necessary. I mean, you will have to fight 3 at a time later on. So if you can't beat them now, you're not going to be able to beat them later either. But yeah, if you want to pull them when they are, if you want to try and split the pull, these guys wander around and then they do like a running stage to their patrol. And when they start running, if you shoot the one at the back, like here, these guys started running and split up a bit, and then if you shoot the one at the back, you can pull him without the social pull of the others. So yeah, that really simplifies these pulls. Coming up next is one of, well, I wouldn't really call it a boss, but as a champion, a giant coming up. And before that, I'm going to show you a small kind of trap. I think, yeah, a trap might be the correct term. If you run up to these, over here to the right, there's spiders, and they will fuck you up. They'll really ruin your day. So be very careful of it. We trigger them there just to demonstrate, but there's a load of them, and they if you don't have adequate AoE, they'll. And if you're fighting the giant as well, it'll cause a lot of trouble. You don't want that to happen. So here we're just killing off the hands while we're waiting for the giant to come around, because we want to pull him so we don't get any hands, of course. The hands, there's no point in killing the hands really, because they're going to respawn, so just don't fight where they are. So here we're pulling back the giant, and it's like any other giant in the game, dodge when you see his foot lift. Yeah, dodge when you see his foot lift, that's pretty much all there is to it. In this case we have quite effective warrior tank, so he's not even leaving close range, melee range. It's not generally advisable to do what he's doing, but he's doing it well, so can't suffer on that. Here he comes after me, but I would recommend doing what we're doing here, just keep kiting him, just run around. There we go. So we get him, and continue onwards. These pulls are again some trash mobs, just solo mobs. They're not really issues. There's obviously some elites, not elites, what they're called, heroes, champions now. veterans. Yeah, there's some veterans in there, but not too many of them. So coming up next is the next boss is just over this, just through this gate here, and you're going to be able to pull these in pairs. These elementalists. I think it's always elementalists that are here. And as you see here, they just go down, they just drop almost immediately because of the reflective wall. It really screws them up. They don't even stand a chance. Like, look at that one on the right. That's, you know, those big chunks of his health that were going were just him hitting himself with the reflections. The reflections are also very effective against the hunters, or whatever they're called, the horn blowers. I can't remember what they're called. But yeah, the guys that throw the axes, because they bounce off the wall and then become your projectile and bounce to their friends. Right, this is the next boss. This guy is fairly easy. He's got 3 attacks. The first attack is he puts these big circles on the ground and then he detonates them all at once. So you just want to basically just keep walking out of them. He does a big animation, so you shouldn't ever be caught while in one. Just always walk out of them. The other one he does is he puts down a small circle and immediately throws at it, and you need to roll out in about half a second. The third ability he does is the life steal, which you can't break the line of sight on. That won't help. So don't try and break line of sight. You've just got to roll about, I guess. Try and tank it. Okay, coming up next is one of the interesting stages here, except it's basically sucks. Just swim along the bottom. Done. There's no threat at all. Gorillas are next. These guys are fairly unremarkable, not really difficult to deal with. They're kind of slow to attack, so really easy to dodge. And there's not much to say about them, really. Coming up next is one of the interesting stages. Here is it's essentially a pass the parcel system, where you're trying to get the ball to the end without dying. Anyone holding the ball takes damage, and they gain a spell. Number 1 on their bar will be an ability to throw the ball to the next player, and it's ground targeted, so you have to be quite precise and target the feet of the player. The player who's receiving should be standing still. Unfortunately, I didn't capture any footage of this because my teammates decided they wanted to be greedy and glory hogs, and they scored. Anyway, so next up, we're going to go to the map and teleport to the northern waypoint, because this is a closer waypoint to the next boss, who is the toughest challenge in here. So we go to the northern waypoint, and from here we can clear a closer route to respawn, should we need to respawn in the middle of the fight. We don't, but you probably will. You'll probably be thankful for this. First time we tried to beat this boss, we spent about 4 hours in the dungeon and didn't manage to beat him, which is pretty dire. But yeah, there's a couple easy pulls here. A hunter and hunter and quite a lot of trash. Again, if you've got AoE, it shouldn't be an issue. Then if you've got a couple of random mobs, and now it's a big field of the exploding bodies, which I didn't mention before. There's if you look, there's steaming bodies back there, and if you step on them, they'll almost kill you. They'll leave you on about 2,000 health, so it's best to clear them when you're out of combat by stepping on them. Here, you can just pull the mobs off one by one. They're really, really easy to take care of. There are Orrian eye turrets, similar to what you see in the Zaitan instance, that can cause some trouble if you're not paying attention, but really they're not difficult if you have a guardian with a reflective shield, or anyone else that can reflect projectiles. It's no issue at all, really. So you just, wall them up or whatever. Wall them up or use your block, and it destroys them pretty quickly. You can use the reflecting crystals that are on the left and right if you don't have any. I picked one up later to demonstrate it. Anyway, so we're pulling all the mobs one by one. This is a champion that's here. He's thoroughly unremarkable, and there was no reason I should have been down by him. I accidentally stepped on one of the bodies and took a bit of damage, and then he finished me. But this guy is literally completely unremarkable. Just snare him and kite him. He's no chance at all. Coming up next is a pair of monsters who frenzy when they hit, but they're quite slow to attack. I'll explain them when I get there, I guess. Small cut there, sorry about that. So coming up next is yeah, the two frenzy mobs. I picked up a crystal here to demonstrate it. Look, I walk over to the turret here. The crystal is unfortunately really weak and basically useless. It only lasts, for about half the enemy's health bar, so I wouldn't, just bring guardians, and you're not going to have an issue here. So here we've just pulled the rest of the trash, and now we're going to clear the bodies to make the final pull in this room. It's the two giants. Here we've got one person just running about tanking one of them, and the rest of us kill the other one. They're really fast to take down if you've got the correct DPS. The danger is when they start building up the frenzy, each time they hit, they get faster and more damaging. So don't let them hit you. Just don't let them hit you. Okay, up next is the second to last boss. This guy is probably the most difficult boss in the dungeon, and you're going to need to pop your expensive food. You want as much dodge as you can get. It's really important that you dodge as much as you can. You'll want to pop those undead potions if you've been scrounging. There's no reason you wouldn't have had them on anyway. Always pop the undead potions in here. Anyway, he's got. You'll want a stun breaker, as I've slotted here. I wouldn't recommend things like the standards, since you don't want to be standing still. You want to have as much mobility as possible, and probably as much healing as possible as well. So in the first stage, what he does is he summons insects, and he summons locusts, swarm of locusts, and he summons grubs. When he summons the grubs on someone, if he's about to summon the grubs on someone, they'll get a green glowy effect on them. When he summons the grub on a player, it knocks them down, and then the grub moves towards him. And if it gets to him, he gets a permanent damage bonus for the rest of the fight. So you don't want to do that. What we're doing here is I'm doing DPS against the boss. Everyone else is basically killing the locust swarms and the grubs. And this works quite effectively if you have a high DPS character, as mine is with the bleeds. So after the first stage, he'll become immune, and at which stage he'll change to this, which is probably the most difficult stage in the dungeon. He has two main attacks. I think it's two attacks. He does that charging shadow step thing, where he runs in and then knocks down anyone he catches in a small AoE. Well, not small, but fair-sized AoE, so you need to dodge that. He's got three attacks, I should have said, actually. The second attack is that big AoE where he drops a load of circles everywhere, and be warned, they will hit you outside the circle, so you need to roll as far out of those circles as you can possibly get. Don't just try and slightly sidestep them. The third attack he has is like a spell that he just directly targets you with, and that's fairly easy to dodge. So just keep an eye open for that. Just essentially be on your toes and be dodging all the time. Don't get downed, because once you start going down, it's going to be trouble. One of us died there and actually respawned at the northern waypoint, so it's not too far to run. You can get back in time. Now he's on to the third stage. He's got a few attacks here. One of them is that one where he flies up in the air. He slows everyone within a ring, a clearly defined ring, and damages them for about 2,000 damage per second, and heals himself for any damage he steals. So you don't want him to do that. You don't want to be caught in that. You want to be rolling out of that as soon as he does it. The second attack he has is that one, the acid breath thing, where he's not really breath, he sucks in, and he'll steal life from anyone who's in front of him in a cone. So you want to be rolling left and right or back. Just basically roll out of that. The third ability he has is that dome that you can see being cast now. This is one of the only ones you don't want to roll out of, because you can't escape it unless you have stability. If you have stability, you can walk out. Otherwise, you just want to stay put in the middle and hope he doesn't kill you. Because if you try to roll out, you just get repeatedly knocked down. The fourth ability he has is kind of a small circular vomit. He'll vomit in front of him, which is just really easy to dodge. Just roll out of it. Basically, just roll. I can't stress that enough. And stay spread out. Don't be together. Never stay together. Stay spread out. This boss is definitely the most difficult in the dungeon. Next up is one of the more difficult encounters. It's just three of the elite mobs, except you've got to fight them in this confined space where you don't have to. Just we foolishly decided to. So you need to pull them back. You don't really want to fight them here because they'll ruin your day with their area of effects. Luckily, when the boss dies, you unlock a waypoint immediately there, which I'm about to make use of because I'm a noob and die. So yeah, the waypoint is literally right there, luckily, which is brilliant. So you can kill these guys off. Of course, you want to start by targeting the healers if possible. Next up, there's a couple of ambushes coming up. Spiders will ambush you. If you're not prepared, they can be a lot of trouble. This is a huge pool of all veteran spiders, about 6 or 8 of them, I think, maybe 8. They're not too much of an issue if you have a load of AoEs, but they can be if you don't. So yeah, be aware that you want to be AoEing them and backing up. If you've got any flamethrowers, for example, yeah, make use. Just burn them all. Here I'm remembering to reslot my banners after the battle with the boss there, which I should have done earlier, really. Coming up next is another spider pool. This time, though, it's got a really nasty champion spider that vomits like circles in front of it. So if you want to avoid the circles, you basically need to just kite it. The circles are very quick. You've got to be very quick on the dodge if you want to dodge them. The best idea is just to keep backing up, and they will almost one-hit you. Most players will die very quickly. So our tank, well, tankiest player, I don't know, tank warrior, dies there, in fact, which he doesn't, I don't think he does for the rest of the dungeon, or before now. So yeah, that's just a comment on how difficult this guy is. Just to keep, like I say, keep out of close range and bleed it down. That's pretty much the tactic for most of the trash in this game. So coming up next, I got a small cutscene where you meet the undead chicken, who is pretty key later on, and you're gonna head to. This place is pretty buggy actually, this corner here, so be careful because mobs will aggro like through walls at you. It's pretty buggy. We actually end up pulling 4 at this stage, so back up and shoot, use the guardian wall, etc. Target the eagles first because they'll build up otherwise. Using the banner, guardian banner for a quick res there. Warrior banner. The warrior banner is really quite an effective item to carry because it's a free res. It's pretty awesome. The elite banner. So coming up next is now the last area of the dungeon. We've got 3, I think it's 3 or 4 giants and a big altar. So obviously we're just going to avoid the giants because why the hell not? So we run all the way around the edge, up the right, and then up the stairs here. And at the top we come to the final boss encounter, where there's going to be 3 circles that you need to stay in. You need to keep control of the circles as much as possible. There's one, there's the other, and there's the third. So basically what we've done here is we had 1 assigned to each circle, and 2 are kiting all the mobs around. To control the circle, you need to be either the same number or outnumbering the number of opponents of enemy mobs in the circle. Otherwise, it flips to red, and if it's red and no one's in it, like if it's red, if it's red but no one's in it, you need to go in it to reclaim it. So I died here, and I do a quick run back. Running back is fairly doable in this dungeon usually. A lot of the encounters are quite lasting, so you should have time to run back. So yeah, upon getting back, I find that it's already mostly done. One tip I will give is that the boss here, he's not directly targetable at the current stage. He teleports around into the 3 circles, and if you want to prevent him hitting you, you have to stand behind the obelisk and hide from him. Next up is the last boss fight. This guy's fairly unremarkable, really. Just dodges attacks, and if he does hit you, he's going to stack corruption on you, which is going to increase the damage you take by quite a significant amount. The only way to get rid of the corruptions that I know of, I don't think they're curable otherwise, is to stand in these beams of light that come down. They're marked by white circles. They also cure regular conditions on you, I think, as well. So basically, yeah, keep an eye on where those white circles are and keep standing in them to cure your corruption. Apart from which is fairly easy. He does summon hands on the ground, but they're not too much of an issue as far as I can tell. It may be because we have our warrior, Shout Warrior, is curing conditions all the time, and they mostly do conditions, but they respawn immediately, so it's not really worth killing them. And that's the end of the dungeon. Yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. I hope it was useful. If not, well, you watched to the end, so shame on you.